Jai Hind, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, WMG, for inviting me. It's wonderful to be here, and everything is perfect except for the traffic. So happy to be in Bangalore. So we are going to talk about India's strategic readiness. Now, what does it mean? Apart from what the media tells you, India's strategic readiness, it was tested during Operation Sindoor. It's being tested even today. Now, when you talk about security, essentially there are two components to security. There is traditional security and there is non-traditional security. So when you talk about traditional security, you talk about aircraft, you talk about missiles and destroyers, etc., etc. Right? And when you talk about non-traditional security, you talk about energy, water, food, data, etc., etc. So this is non-traditional security, and we have been challenged in the past 1 year in both these domains. Now, let me start off with Operation Sindoor. What did we do wrong and what did we do right? And what did Pakistan do wrong and what did it do right? So it's pretty instructive what is happening here. Now, I'll start off with Operation Sindoor. You know what happened in Pahalgam, where a lot of our countrymen lost their lives. They were killed. Typical execution method of Hamas. You're aware of Hamas. You're aware of the Hezbollah. And there is another group in Iraq called the Kataib Hezbollah. You're aware of Ansar Allah, whom you know as the Houthis. You must have heard of the Houthis in Yemen. So the official name is Ansar Allah. So all these groups now, this is a typical execution methodology of the Hamas. You get the people to, they kneel down and you shoot them at the back of the head. This is what Hamas has done very frequently. Do you remember those days of stone pelting in Kashmir? Okay. So you had the Intifada, the first Intifada and the second Intifada. This is all imported from Gaza. And let me also tell you, there are credible media reports which suggest that before Pahalgam, there was a Hamas unit that visited POK. You must have read about it in the newspapers, and they were there very recently, as recent as 3 to 4 months back. They were meeting with the Lashkar-e-Taiyiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Now, when you talk about Operation Sindoor, what happened was that A, it should not have happened. An operation of this magnitude cannot be carried out just like that. We need better intelligence. And I'm not for a moment saying that our intelligence agencies haven't done their job, but at the same time, I think that, you see, national security, and I'm making a statement here, please don't judge. National security and morality don't go hand in hand. These are two different factors and these are two different things. I cannot name the gentleman, very senior person, has been part of the intelligence services all his life, and he said that, he told me after retirement, he says, Gaurav, in our profession, there are no red lines. Whatever is good for the country is good for us. That's it, period. We do whatever which needs to be done for the country. There is no morality, there is no good and bad. Whatever is good for India is morally good, and whatever is bad for India is morally bad, and that is our yardstick. Now, what happened in Operation Sindoor was India retaliated after 15 days. And that is not okay. And the media saying, oh, this person has now entered this person's home. There is a high-level meeting. You know what Pakistan did? What Pakistan did at that point in time was it dispersed all the terrorists across Pakistan. They knew that India would hit back because India had done the surgical strikes. India had done Balakot, and the Pakistanis knew that some sort of a response was coming. They didn't know what. Nobody knew what, but some sort of a response was coming. First of all, we delayed the response for a very long time. And immediately after we responded, the first thing we said was, hey, if Pakistan does not respond to our strikes, we are willing to call it off. As long as you keep Pakistan under pressure, as long as you keep on hammering Pakistan, they are the best people in the world. But remember, you have to keep on hammering them day in and day out. It does not matter if they are at fault or not. There is something which is intrinsically wrong with that state. And I'm willing to defend my statement. There will be question and answers, I'm told. I'm willing to defend my statement by saying that if you remove pressure from Pakistan, they will hit you. They've already hit you indirectly at Red Fort. We lost more than a dozen people in the Red Fort. It's going to happen again and it will not stop. It's going to happen in other parts of the country. It's going to happen outside Kashmir. You cannot stop this. And it's not Pakistan's fault. It is our fault. You have to understand. Let's be very brutally honest, because unless we are honest, we'll never solve the problem. Now, where does the problem originate? Where does the problem originate? We all agree that it originates in Pakistan. I'm talking about terrorism. That's why Operation Sindoor happened. And that is the topic that I've been given today. Lessons from Operation Sindoor. So please tell me, if the problem originates from Pakistan, why are we trying to solve it in Kashmir? Neutralizing a few terrorists here and there. This is exactly what Pakistan wants you to do. You kill 100 of them, they'll send 100 more. And they'll keep on sending these terrorists again and again and again and again. And we've been bleeding since the 70s, when this Khalistan problem started. And then in 1989, Kashmir blew up in our faces. So what did we do right in Operation Sindoor? We hit their military targets. We hit their air bases. This is something that we did right. What we also did right was, we were very right that when Pakistan spoke to our DGMO, their DGMO spoke to our DGMO, we called it off. And why was that such a smart move? It's very easy to start a war. It's very difficult to finish a war. For example, Vladimir Putin. He does not know how to finish the Ukraine war. For example, Donald Trump. Every day we hear him cooking up news stories that, no, actually we went to war because we wanted Iran not to have a nuclear weapon. No, actually we went to war because we want to keep the Strait of Hormuz. It was open before you attacked Iran. On 27th of February, the Strait of Hormuz was open. You can't shut something down and say, hey, I'm going to attack you because I want to open it. It was open, right? And then again, our aim was to destroy their air force. Iran doesn't have an air force. It has a couple of old planes because from 1979, it has been under crushing sanctions. They have certain American platforms because they were the best of pals. And do you know who gave Iran its first nuclear reactor? It was America. The United States of America gave Iran its first nuclear reactor. Do you know which was the company that gave Iran its second nuclear reactor? It was a company called Siemens. You've heard of it? Yeah, those guys. And the Israelis and the Iranians were the best of friends. They were the best of friends. Mossad and Savak. Savak was the Iranian intelligence agency, and Mossad, of course, you know, is the Israeli foreign intelligence agency. They were the best of friends. They loved each other. And then suddenly the revolution happened in 1979. And it's all joined. It joins up from Operation Sindoor. What is happening in the Strait of Hormuz? Today, I'll tell you what is happening here. If you say lessons from Operation Sindoor now, what we did right, number one, we struck their military targets. Number two, we stopped the war because Pakistan said stop it, so we said all right. Now, a lot of people say that, we should have gone for POK, right? There was this huge demand even in the parliament, which as a military person doesn't make sense to me. You can't go for POK. It's not like driving to the Bangalore airport. It's a different kettle of fish. You plan for such things. You plan for the stock market to crash. You plan for thousands of body bags to come back. You plan to take on what the Indian army now calls collusivity, which is the Chinese and the Pakistanis working together. This is what you plan for when you plan an operation like POK. This was specifically started off, Operation Sindoor, as an anti-terrorist operation. You hit Lashkar-e-Taiba, you hit Jaish-e-Mohammed, right? You hit Bahawalpur and Muridke, which are the headquarters of the JEM and the elite Lashkar-e-Taiba, respectively. You hit them. But then you telegraphed your intentions 15 days in advance. Sabko pata tha kuch hone wala hai. Everybody knew. And that is where we committed a major blunder. Number two, we crushed Pakistan. But I don't think we understand Pakistan very well. Institutionally, we don't understand Pakistan very well. Our focus is maybe, it has these many corps and these many brigades and these many divisions, and this is how their army is and this is how the ISI is. We don't understand the Pakistani mindset. We crushed them The armed forces fought a brilliant campaign. How do you think the Pakistanis responded? First of all, after being hammered and their own citizens putting Instagram videos of the hammering that the Pakistanis themselves took, their own citizens put up these videos, they said, "Hum to jeet gaye. We have won." Now, Indians were confused. Because we guys are educated, so we said, "Oh, here is the proof. These are satellite images. These are forensically approved videos. This is the truth. This is fact." They're not interested. And then Pakistan played a masterstroke. They elevated Asim Munir to Field Marshal. And then suddenly, everybody started saying, something must have happened, otherwise why will they promote a person? That is the logic that the Pakistanis gave. Lessons from Operation Sindoor is that A, on the positive side, we hit them in Punjab. We crossed the international border. We called their nuclear bluff. Great. Fantastic. But always remember, this low-cost war will go on and on. Do you know that there was Turkish army on Pakistani soil? All the drones that were there, the Turkish drones, they were being manned by the Turkish army. Turkey had deployed its personnel against India on Pakistan's soil. So geopolitically, you need to figure out who your friends are. This is the same Turkey whom we sent a lot of relief material to. Pakistan also sent relief material to Turkey. Are you aware of that? So they sent the same material that Turkey had sent them. They just said with love from Pakistan. It's true. That's what the Pakistanis did. So you have to understand this low-cost war. Overwhelming air defense systems of a country by... That is exactly what Iran is doing. Iran's defense budget is negligible. It's very small. It's nothing to talk home about. But Iran has managed to hit Israel, it's managed to hit everybody. And Iran knew these 2-3 things. They knew very well. Number one, they knew for a fact that we can never hit mainland United States of America. It can't be done. We don't have the technology. So what do? We hit them where it hurts. The oil infrastructure of the Gulf states. We hammer the OPEC countries. Israel understands this dilemma very well. Are you aware that Israel actually bombed South Pars, one of the largest gas fields in the world? Israel bombed. And who was the person who acted against Israel? It was Donald Trump. It was not the Iranians initially. Donald Trump said, "What are you doing? When I take over Iran, I'm going to take over the oil and gas. But if you burn everything to the ground, what do I take over?" The Israelis don't care about your oil and gas. So, you talk to any soldier, you talk to any officer of the army, they'll tell you one thing, and they'll bear with me when I say this. Your mission objectives have to be crystal clear when you go to the war. You need to know why you're going. You need to know what you hope to achieve. We were absolutely clear what we hoped to achieve in Operation Sindoor. We might have done it in a different manner, which many people don't agree with, but the Indian armed forces were crystal clear. We will go, we will do this, we will come back. The Americans were not clear. They just thought that Iran would be so impressed with American firepower that they'd just roll over and die. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. Even today, Iran is hitting, and what you have done, when I say you, I mean the Americans, what they have done now is simply one thing. We all knew, can I have the map, please? Now, this is the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most famous places on earth. Right now, many of us hadn't heard of the Strait of Hormuz, unless you're in the business of geopolitics like I am. Otherwise, nobody cared about the Strait of Hormuz. Like, there was actually a real estate developer in Dubai who gave ads saying that I'm making apartments facing the Strait of Hormuz. So, yeah, Dubai being Dubai, this guy said, okay, you can actually look at the Strait of Hormuz, and this is the later river facing, sea facing, so Hormuz facing. So this guy. Now, this here is called the Bab al-Mandeb. And this area is controlled by the Ansar Allah, whom we know as the Houthis. So, if you look at the map, this is Israel. Up here, up north of Israel, you have the Hezbollah. Here at Gaza, you have Hamas. You have elements of the Hamas in the West Bank. In Iraq, You have the Kataib Hezbollah and around 7-8 other terror groups. Now, these are the foreign policy arms of Iran. This is how Iran conducts foreign policy. If they want to trouble Saudi Arabia, they have somebody just for that job. And they can do it extremely effectively. They're very good at that. Now, what are the lessons which this map, look here, this is Pakistan, right? And this is Iran. Correct? And this is the area of the conflict. Now, if India needs oil, you have ports here, you have ports here, and you have your major refineries here in Gujarat. What Americans have done is an innocuous place like Hormuz, which was a choke point. It was always a choke point, but it had never been quote unquote choked in such a manner. You know that such a thing can happen, but for it to actually happen was something that was shocking for everybody, that Iran has actually, done this. They've actually done this. And if you go here, you've heard of this, Malacca, Strait of Malacca. So all these things are happening now. Lessons for us or for the Indian Armed Forces is, if Iran can block Hormuz, can we block Malacca? Right? So this is economic warfare. Can we block the Strait of Malacca? Can we? Because if you look at China, you see this tummy protruding out. You see this part of China? It's like a fat man's stomach coming out, right? This part of China is where their majority of the population is. This is where the industrial hubs are. This is where the export happens from. This is the engine for China's growth. All this is desert in between. This white thing is desert mostly. It's all here. It's all towards the east. It's all towards the southeast, southeast. It's all there. This is one. Secondly, low-cost options. Now, they have these drones called the Shahid drones. You've all heard about them. Now, this has got a motorcycle engine. Basically, this drone has a small 250cc, 200cc motorcycle engine. And it's a very sasta drone. So what you can do is, and they don't mind if it gets shot down, because they're just making so many of them. The idea is to overwhelm the enemy's air defense systems. So what happens is, for example, this is Qatar, okay? And Bahrain is so small that you can't see it on the map. I wish I could zoom this, I could have showed you Bahrain. But let us say this is Qatar, all right? Qatar has an airbase called Al Udeid. Al Udeid airbase is, you can call it the forward headquarters of the US Southern Command. I'm just saying, to explain, the forward headquarters of the US Southern Command. Al Udeid is here. What Iran has done is, Iran will send 20 drones. 5 minutes later, it will send again 20 drones. Then 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Then suddenly it will send 5 cruise missiles and 2 ballistic missiles. By the time the radar is so confused what is going on, because you keep on saying blip, 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 blip. What's happening? You confuse the radar, you overwhelm the radar, and then this mass production drone hits targets. It has disrupted the energy infrastructure of the entire GCC countries. And today, one of the biggest lessons that we have learnt, and one of the biggest shocks for countries like Saudi Arabia, is that the UAE has walked out of OPEC. You're aware of that, right? UAE says we're walking out of OPEC because, why? It's all demand and supply. It's very interesting. It's demand and supply. So earlier, in the 60s and all, 50s, 60s, the global markets or the price of a barrel of oil was pretty much decided by a few Western companies. Exxon Mobil and all these guys, big giants. They used to decide the price of oil. In cahoots with the Western governments, whether it's US or UK or XYZ, they would decide the price of oil. So all these guys got together and said, we have the oil, why can't we decide? So they made OPEC, and later on they made OPEC Plus. But they said that, listen, you can keep the price of oil stable if you manage production. If you throw too much of oil in the market, the price per barrel falls, which is not okay for all of us. So what we do is we manage this price of oil. Classically, the UAE has the capacity to export 5 million barrels of oil every single day. That is UAE's capacity, 5 million barrels every day. What the UAE is doing is actually exporting 2.8 to 2.9 million barrels. But how much is Saudi Arabia exporting? More than 8.5 million barrels per day. So obviously now suddenly UAE says that, okay, we gave you the air bases, we gave you the military bases. When we were attacked, America did nothing. America did absolutely nothing because America could do nothing. Their own bases they could not protect. How in God's name is America supposed to protect Qatar and Kuwait and UAE and Saudi Arabia? So this is what is happening now. Coming back, ladies and gentlemen, to Operation Sindoor. Today I'm telling you, and it gives me no pleasure to predict such things, but what is true and must be said openly. We will again be attacked by Pakistan. There will again be a terror attack and nobody knows where it's going to happen. But it will happen. And there is a certain reason why it will happen. It will happen because when India grows, like India is growing, everybody is not happy. Pakistan is not competing with you in terms of growth because they are not growing. They don't want to grow. They just want to be useful to a random superpower. Are they useful to China? Yes. Here. Bangladesh, somewhere here upstairs, there is a small place called Lal Moner Hat. Have you heard of it? Lal Moner Hat is the place where Muhammad Yunus, at that time chief advisor of Bangladesh, the head of state, actually invited the Chinese that you come to Lal Moner Hat and you put your fighter squadrons there and you put your radars there. Because, after all, this is the chicken's neck and Lal Moner Hat is perfect for the Chinese to have a military base, an air base. This is what is happening in our immediate neighborhood. So, when you talk about Bangladesh here, you talk about most of you would know that the 1971 war essentially happened because of this. Infiltration happening from across, that was the immediate trigger for the 1971 war. It had been going on for, some time, and that is why Pakistan got sick and tired, Operation Changes Khan, and then India responded. 3rd of December, you're all aware of the story, right? So, this is what I'm trying to tell you from this map. These are the various choke points, and this is what has happened to us in the past 1 year. In short, we learned a very, very bitter lesson from Operation Sindoor that Pakistan does not care. Your progress, China will get upset, America will get upset. And you know how Pakistan will play both the sides? China will tell Pakistan, do something in India. As soon as Pakistan does something, India will react. As soon as India reacts, America will tell you not to do anything because they are already taking Pakistan's help in Afghanistan or Iran or some other place. That is how you're getting boxed in. Which is why you need to develop those capabilities. Don't give a 15-day gap. ठीक है ना, मेरा नाम राजेश है और यहाँ पे मैं इस मंत्रालय के बाहर खड़ा हूँ और आप देखिए ये काली गाड़ी जा रही. Don't do that. Just don't do that. There is no kali gadi. Hit Pakistan immediately. Immediately. Even if you suspect they are going to do something, hit them in advance. So see, you have to make them behave. You have to decide their behavior. Now currently Pakistan is deciding its own behavior or China and America is deciding, but you have to decide Pakistan's behavior. And you can do that by shortening this time of response. As soon as there is something, first of all, we have this habit that we are investigating. We will find out and we will set up a committee. Now there is a joke. Somebody asked a person, what is a camel? So he says, camel is actually a horse made by a committee. Right? So we are very fond of committees. Immediately, just respond because, see, Iran is a country that is much smaller than India in any manner, geography, population, money, diplomacy, right? Today, Iran is dictating terms to the United States of America. Iran does not care about how you think about Iran as a mature country or they don't care. They've just blasted everybody. And today, Donald Trump is saying, okay, let's do a deal, let's do a deal. He might be talking big, but he wants to do a deal with Iran. So, There is a saying you must have heard, Bhai Ben Hoye na Preet. Have you heard it? So let me explain to you, for those of you who haven't heard, is when Prabhu Shri Ram went and he told the god of the sea that my wife is there and I have to take her back. And can you please help me? For 3 days he prayed to the god of the sea and said, with folded hands, he prayed with his head bowed and he said, please help me cross the ocean. And the Lord of the seas, the god of the sea, did not respond. So the whole thing is, Vinay Namana Jala Vijal. Vinay is request, Vinay. Jal is water and Jal means foolish, stupid. Vinay Namana, the foolish water does not heed my requests. Gaye 3 din beat, 3 days have passed. Bole Ram Sakop Tab. In anger, Lord Shri Ram said, Bhai Ben Hoye na Preet, there is no friendship without fear. The core guiding principle must be that there is no friendship without fear unless India has the capacity to cause violence against its enemies. I said this once in front of the Defense Minister, Rajnath Singh ji. And he was slightly surprised because I tend to say stuff openly sometimes. So I said this, that when the Indian Prime Minister is sitting talking to another head of state, the Indian Prime Minister is talking to another head of state. The other head of the state, whether he's a friend or a foe, does not matter. The other head of state must realize and must know that somewhere in the dark depths of the ocean, there is INS Arihant. He must know that there is a 1.5 million strong military waiting. Then you negotiate with that person. Whether he's a friend or a foe, you're talking to a friend, foe does not matter. Pakistan will come again, China will again come at the line of actual control. Galwan was not a one-off. The Chinese are biding their time. The Indian army gave them a thorough bashing. They will come back. And they will always come back and they will not sit quiet. The Pakistanis will again come back. The only question is, are we going to be prepared for the next kind of conflict that is imposed upon us? With that, I come to the end of my talk. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.